So just to kick things off, with therapy in general, there is so much stigma for people reaching out to therapy. And I wonder, what stigmas have you noticed in regard to couples reaching out for therapy, or who are hesitant to reach out for therapy?
Absolutely. I think, a lot of what I hear from couples that either do come in or couples that I just know in the community that haven't reached out for therapy is really just the stigma around, oh my God, is our relationship failing?
Mhm.
Right? Why are we at the point where we need someone to intervene? And I think too, a lot of times, um, it's one partner that's really seeking the therapy and the other partner that's kind of more hesitant, like, I don't need that, or am I going to be attacked? Am I going to be under the microscope in front of a third party? What does that look like? And so, it's really kind of around, one of the things that I just said around kind of hesitation in just, is our relationship failing? Why do we need someone to help us? Why can't we figure this out on our own? We've been doing this for a long time. What changed? And, one partner being maybe more committed to reaching out for help, or one partner more hesitant to reach out based on, am I going to be attacked? Am I the one doing something wrong?
And what's hard with that too, right, is like the longer you may hesitate, the longer it may get to being able to fix the relationship or to identify what the issues are at hand and be able to solve that much faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you. So with therapy in general, right, there's several different types of treatment modalities, and I'm sure with couples work, it's very similar. And so I wonder, what framework do you typically use in couples work, and what drew you to that?
So I follow Gottman. I have done trainings 1 and 2. Gottman has been awesome. I really just came up upon it one day, like just doing my own research, and saw really great reviews about that. And with COVID, it was pretty helpful to have that on demand so that I could do it at my own pace, which was really great. But I think what I fell in love with while doing Gottman training was the way that they look at relationships in general and relationships in success. So there's so much research like in the work that they do, which is awesome, right? But the things that they really focus on is the foundation of relationships, kind of in that being intimacy, fun, adventure, friendship, like really having that solid foundation so that when you're working on communication and conflict resolution, you have that really good foundation are already made. And kind of within that work too, they really focus on creating shared meaning, right? So like, how do you support your partner in their individual goals and create family or relationship goals? And so I really enjoy kind of looking at relationships in those two ways, right? Like the fun, the adventure, and how do we get through the tough stuff? How do we communicate better? So I feel like that's really what I fell in love with Gottman, and that's what I bring into sessions with couples.
And it sounds like too, Gottman's not shying away from the fact that all couples have difficulties, but figuring out how to navigate those challenges together is what sets successful couples apart.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool. Thank you. And, on kind of that same vein, when couples are coming to you for the first time, what are some of the most reported challenges that they're bringing to you?
Hands down, communication. I don't think that I've seen a couple that has not come to couples counseling for communication struggles. Obviously, there are other issues too, like just feeling disconnected or missing that spark or not making the time for one another, being new parents, having a new job, so kind of life stressors. But bottom line, communication has been the biggest thing that I have seen within the work that I do with couples. And communication, it could just be simple, like, how do I tell my partner how I'm feeling?
Mhm.
Or it can be, how do we talk about really tough decisions? How do we problem solve? How do we work together? How can I just go to my partner to vent and not have them fix it? So it's really kind of just finding that common ground around communication. Like I said, not just for conflict management and conflict resolution, but also like, how do we strengthen really good communication?
Great. So what are some indicators that could um, identify that couples could benefit from couples work? Like, what sorts of things can people reflect on in their own relationships to decide, like, hey, maybe we need a third party to help work us through?
I think definitely, when you're looking at your partner, how are you feeling towards them? Is
Mhm.
there resentment? Is there, like, are you looking at them in a positive light? How is that feeling? Also, kind of, are you feeling disconnected? Are you feeling like you're just going home to a roommate? What does that feel like? A big indicator is like, how do we argue, right? Because couples argue. You're going to disagree. How are we handling that, right? Like, is it leaving one of us feeling so overwhelmed and so frustrated or so shut down that we're not talking for days? So I definitely think it's really around, like, how connected am I feeling with my partner, and how am I viewing them when they come home from work or they're coming through that door? What's my initial reaction? Am I happy to see them, or am I so irritated that they're here?
Great point. Great point. Okay. Now, there's so many therapists out there, right? That in and of itself of choosing someone can be pretty overwhelming. Do you have any recommendations on what couples should look for when they're searching for a therapist?
I mean, I definitely think, like, ask around, right? Ask people you trust, whether it's your doctor or friends, people that you really identify as having your best interest in their mind, right? Because they may know someone or have been through their own work with couples. And so I definitely think word of mouth is one of the biggest things. But also, when kind of doing your own search, whether you're searching on therapy networks or you are getting word of mouth referrals, calling therapists and asking for what you need.
Mhm.
If there's something specific that you're looking for, ask for that. That's really important, kind of finding what it is that is important and meaningful to you when reaching out for therapy.
Do you think it's unrealistic for people to ask for kind of like a brief introduction call to a therapist they might be working with, kind of as like a vetting process?
I think you should absolutely do that, especially with therapy in general, but especially with couples counseling, right? Because you may be looking for something specific.
Mhm.
And if that's what you're going to therapy for, like, you should be advocating for that, or at least doing your research and reaching out to different people to see who might fit what it is you need best.
So, just to kind of sum this all up, say a couple has chosen a therapist that they're going to be working with and they have their intake tomorrow and they're freaking out. They're so nervous. They're not sure what the therapist is going to ask. They're not sure how to prepare. Maybe they are apprehensive that they're going to be attacked in session. Do you have any feedback or suggestions on how a couple could prepare to begin couples work?
I think just going in with an open mind, right? Like, knowing that you have tried everything individually, which is why you're reaching out, right? And so being kind with yourself. And again, like, if you have the ability to communicate with your partner at this point, using each other to kind of bounce things off of each other, help each other manage the anxiety. But I think just my number one thing is going in with an open mind, knowing that your therapist is there to help you, not to judge you.
I love that.